Me and you watched. Do you remember we watched that film, The Darjeeling Limited, about the three brothers who were on a train in India? I was awake in the middle of the night and I couldn't sleep. What did you think of it?
You're fast.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Lads Film Thing podcast, where four friends discuss a film and generally have a good time. Be warned, there will be spoilers. So you've got me, Lucy, Abby,
Hi there.
Dan,
Hi.
and Sam.
Hello.
This week's film is Dan's choice. Dan, do you want to tell us what it is?
Yes, absolutely. My choice today is The Darjeeling Limited, the 2007 comedy drama film directed by Wes Anderson, also written by Wes Anderson and produced by Wes Anderson, among others.
Oh, nice.
Been busy.
He has been busy,
he's
yeah.
been busy 16 years ago.
Yeah.
17 years ago.
Yeah. I don't think he's had his feet up in that time since,
Wow.
but
No, he's done quite a lot since as well.
There to know.
yeah.
I'm surprised this is the first Wes Anderson movie we have, Dan. So
Yeah.
Really?
It's your
You're a
thing.
fan.
Yeah, I'm a fan. But
Wes Anderson.
Oh, Sam.
Classic Sam.
Shall I quickly go over the plot then?
Go for it.
Okay, here's a whistle-stop tour through the plot of the Darjeeling Limited. So there's three brothers. They're mostly estranged. They decide to go on a train trip through India to try and rebuild their brotherly love. And they kind of meet various obstacles and things, both metaphorically and literally,
Oh.
on the journey.
That's enough, I think.
Is it?
That's that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't know what he's going to say.
Oh yeah, carry on, Dan.
Well, I was just kind of winging it, to be honest.
You call it up.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, so they're on the train. They try and do various like spiritual things, you know, that kind of ignorant thing that people do when they go to like a spiritual country like India, where they're like, oh, we'll go and pray at this temple, or we'll go and, you know, throw this feather off a cliff or something like that.
That's one of my favourite bits of the whole thing, it's fair to say, is how they are totally ignorant and like trying. Like, there's those local kids laughing at them, aren't there? And they're like, these people are so beautiful. Those kids are clearly like, these fucking idiots
Yeah.
just doing like whatever. They're just don't even spot that they're being made fun of by us and like everybody else.
So they're on a train, and then they go to a market. They buy a snake, and the snake gets loose on the train, and they have a fight and stuff like that. They end up getting kicked off the train, and then they're walking just nowhere, and they happen upon some kids playing in the river. Unfortunately, one of the kids drowns. They try and save the kids, but they don't. They manage to save 2 out of 3. That bit's very sad. There's also an ulterior motive by one of the brothers that they're going to go and meet up with their mum, who has gone over there after their dad has died. That's a very awkward scene because their mum clearly doesn't want to see them. And I think it's after that they really actually do bond together as brothers again, because, you know, they realise they can't count on their mum and their dad's dead, so it's just the three of them.
Oh.
Yeah, and then they're kind of reconciled a bit, and then they kind of go back to their regular lives, I think.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the plot, right?
Yeah. I feel like this is a good place, Luce, for you to say what you said to me the other day about it.
Oh, so my overall, like, I really enjoyed it, and I love that storyline of like the brothers like bonding, and even at the beginning you don't even know they're brothers, so it's quite nice to like watch that come out as they're sat around that table on the train, and sort of get a grasp of what's happening. But I felt like that plot line would be secondary to a bigger storyline. Is this the comment that you thought I meant? Yeah, okay. Because I was like, I love that happening, but what are we doing here? Is this what we're watching? We're just watching this.
But I thought that was so funny. That was so like insightful, because that is art house films, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every art house film I've ever seen could be described as that, where
Really?
it's like, this is what's happening alongside James Bond or like
Yeah.
RRR
a
or
different
whatever,
angle
like
of the scene.
Yeah.
anything. And this is the almost like in a quirky way, but the boring shit that all of us are actually just doing in our lives, just like
Yeah.
getting by, just going to buy some shoes in a market, like literally
Yeah.
doing nothing massive, just living.
Yeah, and I love those bits. Like, and it's like when every movie ends or every series ends, you're like, I don't want it to end. I just want to see what happens next,
Yeah.
even if it is just, I don't want to say uneventful because there were events that happened along the way, but nothing like major. I do want to watch that bit, and I did enjoy it for what it was. But I was thinking, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? But it was just the story of them, and it was just So
I think that's kind of why I like those films. I think if all films were like this, it would be boring. But, you know, there being like different types of films in the world is what makes these films appealing. Like, not every film can be a James Bond film or a Fast and the Furious or something like that, because after a while you just be like, oh, well, this is formulaic or whatever. But I first watched like this film and The Life Aquatic, obviously when they first came out, I think. And before that, I'd just been like watching big Hollywood films and stuff. And then I saw this and I was like, oh, actually, films can be just about a slice of someone's life where you just see like silly little nuances and awkward things that also happen in my life. You know, like there's just weird little things in there that you're just like, oh, that wouldn't happen. And then you think about your own life and you're like, well, yeah, weird stuff like that happens all the time in life. And it doesn't sugarcoat anything. It's kind of weird. Like, one of those kids does die. Like, they don't save one of the kids. And that's just the sad reality of what does happen in life sometimes. Like, no one saves the day all the time. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of why I like his films. He doesn't kind of shy away on just some of that awkward, regular life stuff.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Sam? I think you didn't like it because it didn't have enough story. Is that right?
Yeah, I really like the style of it. I want to see a Wes Anderson directed film with better story. Like, I don't mind it being kind of subtle, but kind of melancholy, that kind of. But just like this film, by the end of it, they become much closer brothers. But for no real reason. I know there was a bit where the mum didn't really want to see them, but it wasn't enough for me to have a change in why they felt like that. Like, nothing poignant seemed to happen. It just, I don't know, it kind of lacked the substance to make the change happen. And
I mean, they did see a kid die in front of them.
they
and
did,
they were
but
brothers, weren't they? The three were three brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And like one of them didn't make it, and he was about to have a kid.
But these are like 30, 40-year-old men.
Yeah.
Like, they're aware that death happens in the world.
Yeah.
Like, if they haven't realised it before they
Yeah.
got, and their dad just died, like, the death of a parent would probably bring siblings together more than the death of a stranger. Like, regardless if they're brothers. It was,
Yeah.
I feel like I enjoyed, I mean, visually it looked really nice.
Yeah.
Just there wasn't enough substance there for me.
Yeah, I get that.
I can see that. I can definitely see why it's not everyone's cup of tea. Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's nice because, like, visually and, like, he's a really good director. I just want to see him direct a different story.
Have you seen the Grand Budapest Hotel?
Love that film.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
really
it's
good film.
great.
Yeah,
That
so that is
one's-
my favourite Wes Anderson film
It's
by
like
far.
a next
Yeah.
level up in terms of story.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
action
that's
stuff.
perfect. Like, it looks really good and it's really entertaining. That's
Come on,
perfect.
though.
film.
For come on, I'll just throw Fantastic Mr. Fox in the mix,
Yeah.
please.
Brilliant film. Yeah.
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 Yeah, really
that's
good.
so good.
Yeah.
I did like the Budapest Hotel, though.
Yeah, that was
But
really
Sam, your general movie preferences are more like high action.
good. Not always. Like, I do like have a fondness for them,
Yeah.
but I like some of the smaller, subtle ones like as well. But
Name
I
five.
like a film where I choose my favourite character.
Yeah.
And there weren't, like, the brothers, I really enjoyed their dynamic when they were, like, bickering and stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, I've got a brother and a sister, but I didn't have a favourite. And sometimes I just need
Okay.
somebody to, like, get behind in a film. Like, I need to care about what's happening, and I didn't overly care about any of those people.
Say about there being like them bickering and stuff like that. I had this real moment. Like, I grew up with a brother quite close in age. You've obviously got a twin brother. You've got brothers. You've got sisters. So I don't know if you have the same thing. But
I was basically an only child for most of my childhood, so I'm out of this one, but carry on.
I had this real nostalgic feeling. You know that bit where they're fighting on the train,
Yeah.
and I think it's Jack has got that pepper spray,
Oh, yeah.
and the other two are fighting. It's like, I'm gonna pepper spray you. And when I don't know if you found this, but I had this real throwback to when I was a kid fighting, and in the moment you're like, I need to do this. This is the most. necessary thing to do, and it's like punch your brother or something like that, and it's going to stop everything. And then you do it, and he sprays him with the pepper spray, and it's like immediately you know that was the wrong thing, the absolutely wrong thing, and you are now going to get beaten so hard for it.
Oh my God.
Did you have that?
Yeah. And they're really believable brothers, like
It
relationship.
really
Yeah.
captured
They did
that
really
very
well
well.
with that.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, and also the thing with the belt, where he's like, "Is that my belt?" And he's like, "Ask
Yeah.
before you borrow it," and then he's like, This is your birthday present. It's from me and Jack. It's the belt." And then he's like, "I'm going to need that belt back." Like a half an hour later. That's exactly what it's like having a brother.
Oh.
Yeah, I liked that. Though I find it quite funny, like that film. Like there's a lot of things in there. And again, it's like subtle and stupid things.
Yeah.
But I do find it quite funny. There's that bit where his shoe gets stolen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And for the whole rest of the film, instead of wearing just 2 matching shoes that he buys there, he's still wearing his original shoe and the other shoe
That's
that he buys.
£3,000 out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The logic is there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Did you also just see the shoe?
Yes,
It's like
yeah.
a loafer with like stars and the moon like painted on it. It's
Yeah,
so
I
weird.
love
Yeah.
And I love the bit where I've forgotten everyone's name, but Owen Wilson's character, when he chooses their meals for them.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I love it, and it's right. Abby, why are you looking at me like that?
Yeah, the frustration when they're
It's
like,
totally
"Oh,
Abby.
that's what I
Yeah,
want."
exactly.
That's the thing. We Owen Wilsons always know. Don't try and argue with us.
Yeah, and it's sweet because you know he is right, and in that moment. But then again, it comes back when the mum does it as well,
Yeah.
and she
Yeah.
gets it all right as well. And they're like, "Well, fine, she knew, she totally knew."
Yeah.
But that's again like something so like that everyone resonates. Like there is always someone in the family that like can call it and knows everyone that well, but
Yeah.
is also really annoying about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I enjoyed the opening with Bill Murray as well.
Oh,
I
yeah.
made a note whilst we were watching it to say like, is this a sliding door situation, and can we watch the Bill Murray movie?
Yes.
Yes.
What's he done?
Yeah. So
Where's
if
he
this
been?
is the separate scene of another film, I want to watch inside that the Bill Murray
Yeah.
movie within this movie.
Yeah.
It's good. It's got some good actors in there.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson, Jason Schwartzman, Adrien Brody, they're really good.
Yeah.
Angelica Houston's really unusual.
She's really good. Really weird haircut, but yeah, she's really good.
Yeah.
It felt a bit like the film lured me into a false sense of security before that kid died.
Yeah. And we paused there for a bit, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is good. They're just about to save these children.
Yeah.
The worst scene ever.
Yeah. And Sam, you were like, that kid might have survived if that guy hadn't tried to
I,
inject
I,
it.
help, I
yeah.
can't help thinking their involvement just ruined everything.
No, I don't think so, because he was literally smashed into the rocks, wasn't he?
Yeah.
This is what I'm just defending.
Yeah. I just feel
Based
like
on nothing.
they've done that journey and that trip like many times. The one time these 3 characters happen to be like walking past.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that is a real curveball, that bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Definitely lulls you into you don't think that film that's happened, like the first half of that film, you're like, oh, a kid's not going to die in this film. Yeah, it's really, it takes you by surprise.
And like an hour after you'd paused, we said, "Oh, where did you pause?" And you said, and both of us were like, "Damn it!" We like, if you'd have said at the time, we definitely would have said, maybe just watch that bit, because then, like, you wouldn't have come straight into that as the. Although I don't know whether that's better to watch it and then pause. Really.
No, I think. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it would have been better if they didn't have that scene.
Yeah. Okay.
Wes, if you're listening, take this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I obviously thought that bit was really sad, but I did enjoy the second half of the movie more than the first for that, because
Yeah.
I found it a bit more like emotional, and I was a bit more like intrigued as to what was happening. Like when they took him back to the village and they like had the little funeral, and that was like sad to watch, but I liked watching that more than the beginning.
Yeah.
That makes me sound terrible.
No, I think that it's definitely like a turning point in the film, isn't it? And like before that, they've just been kind of goofing around and stuff. And it's at that point, like, I don't know, for me, I just thought like some of the acting there is amazing.
Yeah.
Like that bit when Adrien Brody, he pulls him out of the water and he's just like, he's dead.
Yeah.
I didn't save mine.
Yeah.
He's dead. And he just, his face is just crushed,
And that's the
isn't
thing,
it?
like, in, I don't know, traditional whatever Hollywood acting, the acting is so massive, isn't it? And that's great, because it obviously it makes it huge, but it's acting. Whereas like this, I feel like that is how you are. You're just like,
Yeah.
oh shit, this has happened. Like,
Yeah. And when he says, can you tell him that I tried?
yeah, the other bit of that that's amazing for me is he obviously isn't massively connected with his unborn child in that he's in India. He didn't tell the mum that he was going.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of isn't really getting it. And then he starts to do little bits, doesn't he? Like, he picks up some kind of outfit or something.
Oh, yeah, like a woolen vest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, when the bit with the funeral, that feels to me like he has that real recognition. He sees that dad, and that bit where the dad faints.
Oh,
And
that's
it
awful.
feels like he is like, oh shit, yeah, that's the emotion that you have for your child.
Yeah.
And then he's playing with that kid, and it just is like a really so that is how that stuff happens, isn't it? It is just gentle stuff that like pushes you in certain directions, not big stuff.
There's the bit where there's the flashback. There's like not much. It's quite like present day, the film, but there's just one flashback where it goes back to the funeral.
Oh yes,
The
in the
dad.
car and stuff. Yeah.
Which is quite good. And I can't remember who the actor is. Who's like the mechanic, but he is somebody.
Yeah, I thought I
Played
recognised him,
one.
but I didn't. I googled, and it was somebody that I didn't
really?
really know.
Yeah, but that's quite good, isn't it? That bit, because that's kind of like when they are kind of a bit more solid as brothers.
Yeah.
I think like there's the bit where they actually get the car out. Like I think it's Francis who's like, "We need to get that car," and then everyone's like, "No," and then he's like, "No, I'm going to do it," and they're like, "Okay, well, we'll just back you up on
Yeah,
this." And
that's
so they
cute.
get it out,
Yeah.
and then they wheel the car out onto the road, and it's clear it's not working. And that guy comes out of his truck, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And then they're like, "Get the fuck back in the car!" And then they all like join in,
Oh,
and like that's actually them as like a unit. And then obviously they've like strayed away from that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's nice like to see like, and that happens with I guess most siblings. Like you can drift apart, but then you always come back. It's quite a nice story for that.
Yeah, and you have like moments where you are close for a period, and
Yeah.
then like that will happen again.
And yeah, you can always get back to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's sweet.
And I think also they would all at any point still do anything for the others.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah.
just like rile each other up in all
Yeah.
the same ways as they did when they were young and stuff, don't they? But they ultimately want the best for each other.
Yeah.
I like the bit where, is it Owen Wilson? He feels left out of something. Reminded me when you were like, it's 3 or 1. Where he's like, okay, let's all agree to not have any secrets from one another.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I remember doing that to my sister. Like, let's all agree to not do this very specific situation that you have just done. That has upset me.
I love the bit at the end where they are running for the train again, and then they just like fling the suitcases, and they're like, "Forget the suitcases, leave
Yeah.
them."
Yeah.
And it just all the way through, they're having these suitcases. They're like lugging them around, they're carrying them about all the time, like they're loading them on and off the bus, and it was like a niggle the whole way through. Like these suitcases, they must be such a pain. And then just at the end, they're just like, "Leave them, they're
Yeah.
gone, they're gone." It's like, is this supposed to be symbolic of
Oh, for
something?
sure.
Yeah.
They've got rid of the baggage, and the baggage
Yeah.
was their dad's anyway, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was in the suitcases?
Yeah, I know, because they wear the same suits throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just wearing
Yeah.
the same shirt and suit. Shooting
Shoots and
shirt.
shirts, yeah.
Throughout the whole film. Sean Connery.
Wow.
Oh dear. Apologies, everybody. Yeah, they're
Next
wearing the same
podcast,
stuff.
If you want Dan to do the whole podcast as Sean Connery, please let us know. If enough people want that, we'll do it.
I don't think that was anything near Sean Connery, to be honest.
But enough people is just one. If just
Yeah.
one
Oh, for
person,
sure. Yeah.
one person,
And
does
we
it.
count.
Yeah, you're right. They never get changed.
Yeah.
I don't know what all that luggage is. It's weird. Yeah. Also, it looks pretty warm. Why on earth would you be wearing a suit the
Yeah.
whole time? Bonkers.
They're well-dressed men. I don't know. Literally wore my pajamas at work all day today. So.
And you did a job interview.
From the bottom down. No, I did the interview
No.
top up.
This is
What are
weird.
you talking about? What kind of interview was it?
You Winnie the Pooh it.
Always. That's why I joined. Working days are so awkward now.
So let's give us some numbers. 4 lads, 3 categories, 5 points. Let's start with enjoyability.
That's the most simplified version of that. That was
Yeah,
amazing.
come on, you know the score.
Ooh, yeah.
4 lads, 3 categories, 5 points.
2 girls, 1
Yeah.
Okay, loose.
Partridge in a
Enjoyability.
pear tree.
It's January, Dan. There's no
Sorry.
time for that.
Yeah, yeah, come on.
You're
Sorry
really
for
anti-Christmas now, aren't you?
It's too far. Okay.
2.5, please.
Okay.
3.5, please.
Dan.
4.
I gave it a 1.5 for enjoyability.
Oh, did that lesson did it when you remembered
You
the
damn right.
child?
You
Yeah.
damn right you did.
No.
I knew that like we ran the risk of that lessening from
Yeah.
you when we.
It was a good
discussed
film, and it ticked a lot of boxes, but I didn't enjoy it. It didn't make me feel better for a lot of it, and I didn't like any of the characters enough to enjoy it enough. But I appreciate it was a good film.
So were you reading something or was I reading something? One of us was reading something about this, and they all went and just like stayed in a flat, like in India,
Really?
and just spent time together and just
Oh,
like
really?
did that before they went off. Everything that was on the train was filmed on a train.
Ooh, amazing.
And so they would just like go one way down the track and then go the other way back on the track.
Oh, that's
And
good.
that's what they did, just like day in, day out
wow.
for several days. And he was saying that they just super got on as brothers, like they were just
Oh.
winding each other up loads,
that's
but
really
also
cool.
they really loved each other.
Yeah. Apparently it was very like minimal in terms of like production. They didn't have like any makeup or anything like that. They just had their suits ready for them, and then they'd just brush their hair, and that was it.
Oh,
Which
That's
is
good.
that's good.
Yeah. And the other thing he said was about the glasses, because they were his dad's glasses,
yeah.
weren't they? And he couldn't actually see through them.
Oh, yeah.
So every time he read, he had to lift it
Yeah.
up. And they like became part of his whole, him trying to, or him thinking that what dads are is what their dad was,
Oh,
and that's
Ah.
it.
yeah.
And then learning like, oh, there are loads of other ways to be a dad, and like, yeah, that the village bit was probably really part of that as well. Yeah. Sorry, I've interrupted your scoring.
So the next category is shareability. Loose.
2.
Abby.
2.5.
Dan.
2.
Ooh. I went for a 0.5.
Oh.
Shareability. Who are you sharing this with?
Oh, I know quite a few people who would like
Dan,
this
who are you
film.
sharing this with?
Yeah, I've shared it with a few people because I do like it, but I don't share it with a lot of people because it is quite a specific type of film.
Yeah.
I think.
Who are you sharing it with, Ab?
So I told people at work about it. I told my dad about it. I think again, it's just like a nice. If you know people like Wes Anderson, it's not always one that people have seen.
Yeah.
I
true.
imagine people that like Wes Anderson have seen all of them because he's so niche.
I do, yeah, I get that, but I don't know.
I feel like, well, Luce, what you went for 2, same as Dan. Have you shared it?
I haven't. No, I think shareability is like, for me, well, if I can imagine myself telling someone about this movie.
Yes,
I
like
don't know-
discussability or...
Yeah, I don't know what I would say to get them, to convince them to watch it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I mean, like, about the storyline. Like, it's about 3 brothers who were, like, bonding over a journey.
I've
Like,
discussed
there's
it with
nothing
people.
really for me to
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
and then this happens, and then you'd love the end because this happens, and I don't know, just, yeah. I would still recommend it, but
I feel like we said before, if somebody hasn't watched a Wes Anderson film, I would say Grand Budapest Hotel
Yeah.
or Fantastic Mr. Fox, which
Yeah.
is amazing. And if somebody wanted a film set in India, I'd go RRR or Three Idiots or something like that. So like it's a good film, but I would pick others from each category in the Venn
Yeah,
diagram.
good point.
Mm-hmm.
What about a film about brothers on a train?
That would be... I'll come back to you on that.
Okay, thanks.
How about masterpiece ability? Luce.
2.5.
Dan.
A 4.
Abby.
4.
And I went for a 2.5.
Hmm.
Dan, this is your bag. I went for 4.
Yeah, 4 for me. For me, this is like, I like his later films as well, but I think like he gets too into himself, like his style, whereas this one's kind of like a middle ground where he's still quite influenced by the surroundings. Like there's so much of the influence of the culture and the environment and that, and there's only so much of like his style he can like cram onto that, and I think it works well, that like balance of his style in that. I think I love it.
Liz?
I'm just taking scores.
I think for me, just for what it is, I think it's really good. Like the like aim of the movie to get you like invested in the brothers and to watch their relationship change. Like it was all done really well, and I don't have any like criticism of the movie. I just feel like just comparing it to other movies that I've seen, I just feel like 2.5 is about where it sits for me. Like I like a movie that I've said before, like leaves you with like feeling a certain way or thinking things over, and I think that I loved it in terms of making you think about your own family and like how you can compare that, but it didn't leave me with anything else really other than like being sad about that kid.
Sam?
Yeah, I think like you say, it was very good, it was colourful, it was arty, and like I think 2.5 for me is perfect because I think it set out to be like not a 5.
Yeah.
And it did really well doing that.
Exactly.
So I think it's exactly what it meant to be. And I enjoyed it for that. But yeah, I don't think this was ever meant to be like the biggest masterpiece.
Yeah, that's the same for me. I've got no down like
yeah,
no
it's
criticism.
it's a really positive thing
Yeah.
to give like my 2.5. I thought it was a really well like made film. Just I think it is what it is. So this one got 31.5 out of 60, which is a very admirable score.
Is it higher than The Killer?
Well,
Must
it
be.
was significantly better in every single way, so I would hope so. And like my scores there seem low, but if I've scored The Killer higher in any category, I apologise to Darjeeling Limited because that was a much better film all round.
Yeah.
Wait,
Except
I
for
need to
Tilda
check that.
Swinton, who was fantastic in The Killer,
Yeah.
as previously discussed.
Yeah. And you can listen to all of our previous episodes on Podbean or on YouTube.
And anywhere else you find your podcasts.
Like
Spotify, Apple.
Podster.
pods.com.
Castify. Castaway.
Thank you for coming along to this week's Lads Film Club and joining us while we discussed the Darjeeling Limited.
We'd love to know what you thought about it too. Did you find it as nice as we did? Let us know on our Twitter
Nope.
or Instagram. Find details in the description.
What was it called, Darjeeling Limited? Did I miss
It's
that?
the name of
was
the train.
Oh yeah, I never, because obviously they did that as the opening card, but I never
Yeah.
know if that was them being arty and like that's where they
Yeah.
put it, or
Oh,
if that
yeah.
was actually the name.
It's not
of
really
it.
mentioned elsewhere, and it's a
Okay.
weird name for a train as well, isn't
Yeah,
it?
Oh yeah.
Unless that's the name of the like the train travel company. I don't know.
yeah. I haven't done my research. Sorry.
Is it me? Oh, sorry. Fuck. Okay. So if you enjoyed listening to our podcast, please leave us a rating and review. Even one.
Anyone?
Anyone out there?
And don't forget to share with your own lads.
And share it with anyone really. We're not picky.
Maybe not.
You ungrateful arsehole mother.
Yes.
Oh.
Maybe not Angelica Houston. Not for this one anyway.
So grab your popcorn.
Round up your lads.
Keep watching.
And join us next week.
Bye.
Oh, you silly
What
Billy.
a twat.
That's for you American listeners. Twat.
Not twit.
They love it, don't
American
they?
listener.
Oh, sorry, yes. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Ron.